Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you, and let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. All right, this is an important question. How important is Joe Milton to the University of Tennessee football team? Let's get into that a little bit. Now, as you remember, Joe, of course, was the starting quarterback last year, and I thought he was going to be a world beater. I mean, he looked like somebody that could be outstanding. He came into the season with everybody singing his praises. And as a matter of fact, Eric Ainge was talking about NFL talent. I mean, he said it was so obvious on the practice field. But, you know, it just didn't work out for him in 2021. And then, of course, Hendon Hooker came in and just did fantastic. I mean, he took over the reins, and within a game or two, it was pretty obvious he was our starting quarterback. And going into this year, I don't think there's any question who the starting quarterback is. And there's no controversy whatsoever. It's Hendon Hooker. And I've said in several videos, if he was the quarterback for the next 20 years, that would be just fine with me. I think he's that good, makes great decisions. He's got quick feet. He can run, got good accuracy. He's not the most accurate person in the world, but he's pretty darn good. He's quite accurate. As a matter of fact, I've compared him to Dobbs. I call him Dobbs 2.0 because he runs almost as well as Dobbs. Dobbs was the best runner we've ever seen. He was phenomenal. I mean, nobody could tackle him. He was so strong and quick, and he made great decisions. But Dobbs wasn't quite as accurate as Hooker is. Hooker's got a nice feel and touch with the ball, and he lays it in there to where the receiver can catch it. Obviously, all the Vols want Hooker to be the starting quarterback, and hopefully there is no injuries, sprained ankles, nothing. But the reality is, when you're playing football, any level of football, you can get injured. You can just any little thing. You can break a thumb. I mean, it's just like so many little things. I don't know how in the world these guys get through a season uninjured. It just seems impossible to me, especially as hard as they get hit. So the reality is Joe Milton could end up being the most important player on the team, if there's a sprained ankle. Literally, that's all it would take. So let's take a look at Joe. And, of course, Joe's a redshirt senior, so, I mean, he's been around a long time. As you know, he started out with Michigan, and he was the starting quarterback there until he got beat out. And his numbers, he was 51, and this is really what creaked him. He's 51% on his completions, and he throws a really hard ball. I mean, he throws a missile, and they're not that easy to catch. And unfortunately, his touch on the long balls just wasn't there in 2021. He threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he runs like the wind. He's really strong at 245 pounds. I mean, if he hits you, one man cannot take him down. So he's a great running quarterback. As Tennessee's Josh Heupel's staff continues to try to mold the physically gifted passer, says on the surface, Milton was a perfect fit for the Heupel attack, but accuracy held him back and ultimately cost him his job. Several chances early on against Pittsburgh were missed downfield, leading to plenty of frustration, ultimately a loss to the eventual ACC champion. Milton now enters 22 as the clear-cut backup, but has a chance to learn and develop further with hopes of using a super senior season to potentially become the starter. Milton has plenty of upside, but keeping his arm under control on deep attempts is a must. And then our second backup is a true freshman. He was a highly sought-after quarterback in high school, and he could wind up being a heck of a player for us. It's hard to know. You never know when somebody's going to break out. But he is a true freshman, and I would think this offense would be very difficult for a true freshman to run. So they're talking about him possibly being a redshirt prospect. And then we've got Navy Schuler, who's the son of Heath Schuler, and God, everybody remembers Heath Schuler. He was a fantastic quarterback. He transferred from Appalachian State, which most of you know Appalachian State's a darn good football team. I mean, they beat Michigan. They beat some quality teams. Said he took a preferred walk-on offer from the Volunteers, and he's got 4 seasons of eligibility remaining and should provide depth for Heupel over the next few seasons. He was a former 3-star recruit. And recently he talked about his friendship with Hendon Hooker, and it's actually one of the reasons I think he stayed, because really I thought he would transfer, because with that level of talent, he could have gone to a smaller school and been a starter, which is, like I said, I'm very surprised he didn't do that. 95% of quarterbacks would have done exactly that. But Joe's kind of a different bird. He looks at it a little differently. So he's very supportive of Hendon Hooker, and they're roommates. And they become really good friends. And so he does not, I don't believe he begrudges Hendon Hooker's success at all. Says this is Milton's 5th season of college football. And he's actually had less pass attempts than Hendon Hooker had all last year. But, he was a starter at Michigan, and he was a starter at UT. So, I mean, the coaches see a lot in him. Said he's been happy to see Hooker thrive and will continue to do so. They're roommates, a product of the friendship they've built over the past several months. And even Alex Golish admitted on Sunday that'd be difficult for him to have the same relationship if he was in Milton's shoes. And here's a little interview with him.
Right. So you just got to keep going. You got to fight through adversity.
But of course, you could go somewhere else, right? Like, how tough was that? Like, as you went through the process of thinking about your options, did you even consider possibly going anywhere else at any point?
For what? No reason to. I'm having fun, man. I'm learning something new every day. I'm enjoying life. But it's also a thing called it's a saying, you're an ankle sprain away from being a starter. But that's my boy. And, I'm gonna push him, be the best. We're gonna keep fighting it out. It don't matter, man. But whenever your name get called, just be ready. And that's all it is.
So as you can see, he's got a great attitude about it. Really, like I say, most people would not be that way. They would be a little bit more like this.
I'm so happy for you. Thank you. Thank you both very much. I owe you both a debt of gratitude.
Yeah. Most backup quarterbacks are not sitting there truly happy for the starting quarterback. That's just my opinion. But it looks like this is a different mindset for this young man. And as you just said, he really didn't want to leave. He didn't consider leaving. He says he's Hendon's biggest critic, and he really tries to help him get better. He actually wants to be a coach, which that actually starts making sense. So I would not be a bit surprised if he winds up being a quarterback coach at some point in the future. With that type of attitude, the wanting to help makes a lot of sense. So that's probably his maybe that's his calling long term, is to be a quarterback coach or something along those lines, because he obviously likes to help people. And the fact that he's not holding a grudge or anything's, like I say, most people's nature, that's how it would be. But it doesn't seem to be that way with this young man. Now, of course, he tore 2 ligaments in his ankle in the second game, and that was against Pittsburgh, and that's when Hendon Hooker came in. Said he couldn't run until the Missouri game, and he says he's healthy now, so it's just getting through those injuries, and so he's healthy now. And then here's his impressions on Brew McCoy. He said a bigger body, having another Cedric Tillman type out there. He said it's just great because I'm used to throwing to guys like Nico Collins and Donovan People-Jones. Said, so having all these bigger guys around us, you're going to have more opportunities to throw the ball anywhere you want to, and they'll go get it. Obviously, Brew McCoy has a huge catch radius because he's just kind of a giant out there for a wide receiver. Hopefully he gets to play this year. It looks pretty good at this point, but, we'll see. So I found that interview pretty interesting, and that information about Joe Milton. I really, like I said, I wondered why he didn't transfer, and now that I've seen this and read about him, I understand why he didn't. And obviously he didn't even think twice about it, so that's, I think we're fortunate to have a good quality backup in Joe Milton. I'm sure the coaches are glad he stayed because, he knows the offense even better now, and they wouldn't be afraid to put the game in his hands if they need to. Hopefully for us, Hendon Hooker stays healthy the whole year. But, he is a quality backup, and he's got all the talent in the world. Maybe now that the offense has slowed down for him, he would perform better. But, we'll see. But I thought that was interesting, and that answered a lot of the questions I had about Joe Milton. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.